Hello, you are listening to Dr. Sushma Singh. Today in Unit 6, Liberal Perspective on Development. Let us start the lecture with topic Criticism of Liberal Perspective. C.B. Macpherson has criticized liberalism on the ground that it promotes possessive individualism, meaning individuals with little social or collective concerns. The socialist critique of liberal perspective is based on the interpretation of inequality and social justice. It has been argued that the economic order characterized by inequality would promote further inequality and social injustice in an atmosphere of free market competition. The criticism of classical liberalism also came from within the liberal circle. Keynes, for example, came out with a critique of classical liberalism of Ricardo, Mill and Bentham and proposed state welfareism for the protection of the working classes' interests. Sociologists have critiqued the idea of individual autonomous self as absurd. They have also rejected the possibility of neutral rule which would guarantee the promotion of equal opportunities for all, a precondition of individual liberty. Historically, there has never been a free market economy absolutely free of the control of the state. Even now, when in 1980s and 1990s neoliberalism has made a strong comeback, pushing the idea of state welfareism to the back seat. There have been renewed talks on the protection of the rights of victims of neoliberal economies. The liberal approach has devised the elaborate arrangement of labor control, which entails some mix of repression, habituation, co-option and cooperation, all of which have to be organized not only within the workplace but throughout society at large. So, is supported by the formation of the dominant ideologies. The liberal approach that consolidated capitalism worldwide has passed through regimes of accumulation. To borrow Boyer's phrase, according to Boyers, the regimes of accumulation design the set of regularities that ensure the general and relatively coherent progress of capital accumulation. That is, which allow for the resolution of postponement of the distortion and disequilibria to which the process continually gives rise. A regime of accumulation, Lipke writes, describes the stabilization over a long period of allocation of the net product between the transformation of the conditions of both the conditions of reproduction of wage earners. A regime of accumulation thus implies the coordination of the activities of all sorts of social agents, or in other words, institutionalization, in the form of norms, habits, laws, regulating networks, and so on, that ensure unity of the process. And this body of interiorized rules and social processes is called the mode of regulation. The liberal approach has thus been accompanied by an elaborate arrangement for legitimizing and reproduction of the economy, embedded in a legal and social arrangement that facilitated reproduction of the self-regulated economy or the liberal economy. The triumph of the free market economy was possible not by cutting the state down to the size but with an elaborate social, cultural and political arrangement under the patronage of state and an elaborate arrangement of management of the labor force. Hollingsworth and Boyers have aptly referred to this mechanism as social system of production. Antonio Gramsci's idea of hegemony and Foucault's idea of biopower can be used to construct a critique of liberalism. In the past 2 centuries, liberalism turned out to be the hegemonic ideology of Western capitalism. Without sacrificing corporate interest, the Western states have gone for more and more democratization and political participation of the downtrodden and marginalized in order to integrate them into the capitalist social order. Gramsci and answer would suggest that the Western state worked in the social and cultural fields for the ideological integration of the class forces. In a critique of the functioning of the modern liberal state, Michael Foucault has argued that to govern would now mean to cultivate, facilitate and work through the diverse processes that were to be found in this domain exterior to the institutions of government. One key domain in which these processes are constituted is biopolitics. Biopolitics refers to the politics concerning the administration of life, particularly as it appears at the level of population. Biopolitics must then also be concerned the social, cultural, environmental, economic and geographical condition under which the human live, procreate, become ill, maintain health or become healthy and die. Foucault has charted out the history of the transition of the mechanism of governance from governance through absolute power to govern through economic management and by granting more and more autonomy to people. Biopolitics then first meets quite distinct form of political rationality and knowledge concerned with the role of commerce in civil society. In Foucault's assessment, the classical English political economy in the first quarter of the 19th century aimed at optimization of the life of the population. Thomas Malthus, for example, discovered the relation between the processes that impels the growth of population and those natural ones that provide subsistence for the increasing quantity of human life. The linkages between the scarcity and the necessity. The bioeconomic reality discovered and enshrined in the work of English political economists of the early 18th century helped generate new norms of government in order to optimize the life of the population. The new norms entailed government through the economic realities, commercial society and the market. They also entailed a concern to govern efficiently, to limit waste and restrict cost, a concern with what Benjamin Franklin called frugal government. According to Foucault, liberalism may be understood as a critique of excessive government. It should be approached, however, not only as a critique of earlier forms of government such as police and region of state, but of existing and potential form of biopolitical government. Liberalism thus criticizes other possible forms and the government of the processes of life might take. Here we want to close this lecture. We will continue this topic in our next lecture. Thanks for listening.